Okay, thank you, Rui. Thank you, guys. We are just waiting to NUNO GOMES to join us. Okay, thank you, Rui. Thank you, guys. We are just waiting. Okay, it's a problem of mine. Okay, NUNO GOMES is getting in right now. That's great. Hi, NUNO. Can you hear us? Okay, NUNO, can you hear us? Okay, NUNO GOMES is getting in right now. That's great. Hi, NUNO. Can you hear us? Pedro or Admar, I don't know if you are looking to the Facebook Live. If so, please cut the audio. Okay, Pedro. Okay, Admar.
Okay.
Okay, no Facebook.
Okay. NUNO, can you hear us? Not now. Okay, guys, let's just start. People are getting in right now, so it's better if we start. As I said, I will try to make some connection with our audience. So I would like to ask, please, to everyone there looking at us, if they are hearing and seeing everything well. If so, please click on the like button, please.
On the like button.
NUNO, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay.
I'm in.
Thank you, NUNO. Okay, great. So I'd like to ask our audience also, if you please could introduce the country where you are based in, so we can understand a bit more about your profile and can also adapt the content of this conversation to your specific needs. Okay, guys, thank you. We have here someone from Dubai. People are still getting in. That's normal. We just started. We have here also a Portuguese living in Canada, India, studying football business in Belgium. So great, people are getting in. That's good. So I'd like to ask you also, to our participants, what kind of work do you do? Do you work with soccer? Do you work as a soccer coach, as a soccer analyst, or soccer scout? Also, it's important for us to understand a bit more of your profile. Okay, guys, so I'd like to talk a bit about why we are here today. This is our this week Soccer Hub Talks, and we are just beginning a new cycle. We were discussing till now soccer analysis, and now we are entering this new cycle about soccer scouting. Okay, next week we will have also another webinar about soccer scouting. So if you are interested in this specific subject, just keep tuned and try to get to know a little bit more about our schedules and about our lectures. Explain a bit what is our project Soccer Hub. It's an online platform where you can have access to different content related with soccer coaching, also soccer scouting, and everything related to a specific area of soccer. Right now, we are making available a course about soccer scouting. It is called Making the Best Choices When Scouting Youth Soccer Players, of Professor António Figueiredo of the University of Coimbra. Right now, we have this course also at a special price, and we have also a bundle where we get, if you buy the course, you can have access to 2 years of access to the Scouting System Pro software, okay? So it's a great opportunity, so don't lose the opportunity to visit our website, www.hub/soccer.com, and have the opportunity to buy this online course. So today we are discussing soccer scouting players in modern soccer. We have a great set of speakers. For me, it's a pleasure having you all in this discussion today. So we have the former professional international player from Benfica, Fiorentina, Blackburn Rovers, also from the Portuguese national teams, and the former director of Benfica's soccer academy, NUNO GOMES. NUNO, thank you very much for you to give some time to discuss and to share some information with us.
Welcome. We're welcome. Thank you, and hello, Pedro, and hello, Admar. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Okay, hello, NUNO. We have also the scouting director of Lille from France, and former scout of Mónaco and FC Porto, Admar Lopes. Admar, thank you very much for your presence also.
Thank you, Ricardo, for the invitation. And it's a pleasure and honor for me also to discuss football with you guys.
Okay, great. Thank you. And at last, we have the CEO of BRANDIT Portugal. BRANDIT is a Portuguese company that also works with top soccer players such as Cristiano Ronaldo and Maradona. And they developed a software called Scouting System Pro. That it's a tool that will help also the soccer scouts to be more efficient at their work. So I'm going to start, and my first question will be to Admar. It's a bit like an introductional question, and has to be, I'd like to explain, Admar, what does a soccer scout does? What kind of functions does he have in the club? And mainly, how is your day-to-day work, Admar? What do you do specifically in your work, Admar?
So, first of all, nowadays scouting, people used to connect scouting to two different focus. One is individual process of scouting. So we search for football players. Is an individual analysis, and another one is the opponent study of the rival for each club, each team. I'm totally focused more on the individual and more known as a scout. And basically, our work is to study the possible players for the club that we are work for. In this case, I think all the people that work and know a little bit of football understand that a club have to have the best players, as best possible players. And to have that, we have to know very well the markets that we can actually exceed, or in this case, because scouting is also about money, budget, because this industry are totally connected with the capacity of buying players. We have to connect to know all the markets that we can buy players. And the first item that I want to introduce is also that not all the clubs can buy or can search players in all the markets. So we have to focus not in all the championships or all the countries. We have to focus on the market that this is possible for us. In my situation now, I work for Lille. It is a different market than when I was working for Mónaco and even before for FC Porto. Well, and basically you asked me for two questions. First of all, the first one is this answer. The second one, our days, we have a lot of back office work. So we have to know this market, we have to study a lot of players by video first. We have to organize our schedule very well. We have to try to understand which kind of profile of players we are searching for. And also the back office, now more connection with PEDRO. We have to do all the reports. We have to have and organize all the info, because as you can imagine, we're looking for hundreds or thousands of players during 1 year, and we have to have that info very well organized. Well, and that's it. And basically, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Admar. Now, my next question is for NUNO. NUNO, I know that you have experience of course, as a football player, and more recently also as a manager of a soccer academy, youth academy of Benfica. I also know that right now you are investing in your education, doing some courses abroad and in Portugal. So, how can you see the importance of good scouting in clubs for they can be financial sustainable, and how do you think that the importance of generating revenue with the players doing good scouting is very important? Is it very important for the clubs right now, Nuno? What do you think?
Yes, of course it is. I think it depends of the political project of the club, but for instance in Portugal we don't have that economic power as other leagues. So one of our best secrets is to scout young talents and to sell them after to realize revenues that make the project sustainable. But of course, for a club, I used to work for Benfica, but in general in Portugal, all the clubs, and now they are investing a lot on that. All the clubs in Portugal, of course, having a scouting team, scouting department very strong is one of the secrets for the clubs, because if you have the best scouts, you will have the best players, and then you will develop the best players, and then after some years you will sell them, because or you will play with them in the first team. So of course for the clubs it's very important to have a good scouting department.
Yeah, you're saying that it's easier for rich clubs to do scouting because they can buy the players that they want because they have enough money, but it's more difficult for
the secret is to find cheap and to sell.
Yeah.
And to sell after. And of course if you have a good scouting team, you will find the talent even in those countries where no one else is looking for example, or even in Portugal, in some places that the secret is also to arrive first.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you, Nuno. Pedro, this question is for you. Considering also your experience and the relationship that you have with several clubs, and also the professionals that work at these clubs, do you feel that the clubs are more aware to make investments in the scouting department, buying technologies and everything else, because they are realizing that this investment is a good investment because bringing good players will generate more money? Do you think that the clubs are more aware of these questions, Pedro?
Yes, in my opinion, they are aware of those questions, but right now it's not only the only thing that you can do is not investing in technology. For me, it's a little strange to say this because my main business is to sell technology to the clubs, but a lot of clubs and mainly on the markets that we are working with, that is United States and Canada, a lot of clubs are buying technology and they are forgetting about education and experience. So first,
thank you, Pedro. Thank you for helping me, of course.
No, but first, I love to sell software, of course, but before we sell software, we need to teach the scouts how to scout.
Sure.
Persons like Admar or NUNO, their experience, it's fundamental for these people that are now starting working as a scouts. Our software helps organizing the information, is a very good tool to have to organize your information, but the software for itself is not going to solve any problem or to find any talent. I need to learn with guys like Admar how to detect talent, how you can find talent, and the most important thing, and probably I believe that Admar will agree on this, is find the right talent to fit on my team, because sometimes we have Admar can find a fantastic striker that plays on a certain way that will fit very well on a team, and probably for his team is not so good. So software, it's important, of course. The clubs are, and the academies and the federations, and hopefully for us, they are looking every day more and more for technology. They are buying technology. Some of them are buying it on the wrong way. They are buying technology without knowing how to use the knowledge. First they need to acquire the knowledge, and then the technology comes second.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. I think it's a good time to say that we have right now available a soccer scouting course, right now offering at the same time 2 years of the use of the Scouting System Pro. So don't hesitate to visit us. So Admar, one question for you. I'm aware that many of the participants that they are looking to this conversation, they want to become a soccer scout. And I feel during these last years that you can find more and more people being interested in doing this kind of job. So my question is, what is the profile of a soccer scout, or desirable profile of a soccer scout? And what kind of knowledge do you think that he should have? If it is indispensable that he has experience in coaching, or should he be a former player? Or can he be only a guy that knows how to use the computer and the technology, Admar? What do you think?
Well, the perfect scout, that I will try to answer to that question, because in my opinion, first of all, a scout that should understand the game. So that's why it's, for me, even with me, I started I'm a physical education teacher, but I scouted as a coach. I take too much formations as a coach and the courses of coaches. So first of all, of course, know the game, understand the game, because and I will try to answer a little bit what Pedro say, just with a comma. Because we have to know what we are looking for. We are not just scouting talent, we are scouting a certain profile to fit in our team, and that depends on the ideas of the coach, the cultural of the culture of the club, the country where the club is inserted, and there are a lot of variants that we should we have when we scout for the players. But to try to answer to your question, a scout should be very interesting in searching. They have to have a profile of studying the game, knowing a lot of players, capacity of watch too many hours of football, have to have passion, and of course have to be a profile of I used to say 007 in football. We are kind of guys that our secret, the way we act with secret is fundamental in our work, in our job. Of course, teamwork, loyal, that kind of stuff, that kind of is kind of universal for any kind of jobs. But for a specific position of scouts, too much passion, too much knowledge, too much capacity to watch a lot of football, curiosity, and of course that small thing that moves us is to find the best top player, the new Messi, the new Ronaldo. I think it's not that moves, but in a way it helps a little bit to this to keep with this passion.
Okay, Admar, thank you. I imagine that you also have to have a nice wife that understands why are you always looking at soccer games, because sometimes I have some problems here at my house with that. So, so another question now for Pedro. It's a bit related with the other question that I asked, but my idea is to ask you if the clubs are investing more right now in scouting, and if there is still clubs and scouts that does their job only using Excel and other less sophisticated systems. Do you find any attention to the soccer scouting, Pedro?
No. That was true like 5-6 years ago, but now all the clubs, they have a basic scouting staff. Even and you know me for several years, so different countries, and even in not so developed countries, we have teams that already work with some technology. They have a camera and they can see. White Scout is very popular, of course, in stats for more professional teams. But as you know, we work across all levels, grassroots football or soccer, and to the some of short-term player development system, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. Before we go back to NUNO, I would like to ask a question to Admar related with these thoughts of Pedro. Do you think, Admar, that it is possible to work as a scout without using technologies? Do you think that it's still possible not to access to the databases to do properly scout? Do you think that you can do that, Admar?
Or is it possible it is, but you'll be 10 years later than everyone, because when I started to work as a scout 11 years ago, we didn't have a scouting system pro, we didn't have Y Scout, we didn't have access to this technology that turns our work much more easier, much more productive, and we are 10 steps up than we were 10 years ago. and scouting I think maybe it's the area of football that grows more in the last 10-15 years, because of actually the clubs, they realize that if they invest a lot in people that have the capacity to make the good decisions when it is the moment to buy players or to spend a huge amount of money in players, and they realize as companies, the football clubs now are more companies. They realize that they will save much money, and they will have actives that can generate money in the future, and all the political of the clubs. I think nowadays depends a lot on scouting. But to ask to your answer, nowadays in high level it's not possible to work without technologies.
Okay, great. Thank you, Admar. I'm asking for some help of the ones that are looking at us right now. You are able to make some questions to our participants, so don't be shy and do it as soon as possible. So, Nuno, now I have a question for you. It's a question a bit more technical. I saw some photos of you when you were a youth player in Amarante, and I saw that you were not a very big player, neither tall or strong player. My question is, and it's a bit related also with our online course that we try to answer and try to predict the talent. And my question is, Nuno, did you felt that the fact that you weren't very tall or very strong, was it a problem for you to evolve to a professional career, or it happened the opposite? Because you weren't so tall and so strong, it was more difficult for you, so you have to put more energy to be better than your opponents. No?
Yeah, well, that's for sure one of the secrets of the good scouting.
Yeah,
because you have to understand the player before the others, and look at a game, and to identify players with talent. I would like to go back a little bit, because I was just listening to PEDRO and Admar, and I was seeing myself in Amarante. I'm glad that you talk about that, because I was about to ask a question, for example, to Admar, because you guys are talking about technology, and of course it's very important nowadays in football, in specific in this scouting department. But I don't know, Admar, if in any clubs that you work before and now, if someone already bought a player without looking to the player live on the field, I don't think it's possible. I think, of course, videos is the most important thing at the moment, but the scouts, and he was talking about 777, they really are, because they also have to travel a lot. But looking into your own eyes is different than watch a video. And sometimes, of course, for me, for example, in the youth academy, also I highlight that because if you work for a first team senior, if you are a scout, of course you are looking for a specific player that fits into your team. But if you work on a youth academy, you are looking for talent only, specific talent, because then you have time to develop. It's two different things. When you are looking for young players, you are not looking for the coach demands. You are a club. You want the best players with you. It doesn't matter if they fit in your team or now at the moment. You will have time to develop, but of course, the best players you will have, you will want on your side, you know, if you know what I mean. In Amarante, returning to your question, it was my first club, and yes, I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the strongest, but I signed for Boa Vista when I was 14, because Boa Vista had 2 persons looking for all the clubs in that district, and I met this person. It's funny because he works for Benfica now after 25 years, but he was every Sunday looking the games. Every Sunday he was there looking at the games, and I think he was there for all the season, and he chose me instead of maybe some other guys that they were stronger than me at the time. For me, to look at young kids, first I look at how comfortable are with the ball. What is the relationship with the ball? Because after the other things you can develop, and you have time to prepare the players for that. So at a certain age, the physical conditions are not very important, in my opinion.
Yeah, but sometimes, and I see that oftenly, that the coaches of the youth, they want to win, they want to have results, and sometimes they use more the bigger players and the taller players, because they know that with that players they can have results right away. So sometimes I think that it's something that we have to consider, and even as a manager of a youth academy, I think it's very important to say to the coaches, okay, we are here to deliver talented soccer players and not aiming for the results.
You have to combine a little bit the strategy, because it's true that everybody wants to win, and of course, if you have the strongest players with you, you are closer to the winning. But it depends of what's your project, what are your goals. If winning games is more important than develop players to achieve in the first team, you have to combine both situations, and also a lot of players, they develop first and faster than others. You have to have on your team people that can give you all the tools and give you all the information, that sometimes you are looking at the player and you are seeing that he's doing nothing, but you can see that he has talent but he's not playing, or because the other are physical stronger than him. But you have to be patient also.
Okay, thank you, Nuno. I have here a question of David Fernandes. It was a question that I had also in here, but I think it's better to ask this question to Admar. And David Fernandes asked, we know that not all players have the same development, okay? How do we identify talent with so many variables related to growth and development? Admar, this one is for you.
So first of all, I would like to complete a little bit the idea of NUNO. Nowadays I'm scouting for professional team and professional players, but also when I started with the youth in FC Porto. Of course, the more important thing, and our job is focused on watching players live. And when I was talking also about organizing the information, for example, Scouting System Pro allows us to work or to follow 3,000 players a year. And I imagine when I started, we were follow without these technologies and without this capacity of organize our information, 100 players a year. So it's that is the main difference, the big difference in terms of organization, in terms of information. But of course, the most important are the capacity or the skills of a scout to analyze any players live.
Sorry to interrupt you, but of course, if first at the video you watch a player that you don't like, maybe you will not waste your time to watch him live. You know what I mean. So video is helping you in that situation, because sometimes when I was working, I receive a lot of videos from football players, and sometimes one video, okay, this one is worth the trip to that country to watch him live. This one, no. You know what I mean. So
you save time, right? Yes, nowadays. Exactly. So Ricardo, the question that you are making or make me,
it was related with the development of the youth player. If you are working right now, or if you are looking right now to a young player, I don't know, 16, imagine, what kind of things would you be more interested in know about him, so you can predict eventually if it is a talent player or not?
When we're scouting about young players, and normally there is scouting is about scouting players, but we are more focused on young players.
Okay.
I agree with NUNO that in that age, but even sometimes later than 16, physical attributes, physical condition is not the more important thing. The relation with the ball, the intelligence, the fast thinking, the fast decisions are more important, and even some tactical capacities. I mean, tactical, the way of connection with another colleagues, with another team players, are more important than the physical skills. And answer to what you are telling us, nowadays in professional football, the top clubs, they have access, some of them, to physical tests that the players of other clubs, even if it is young players. But sometimes it's a little bit by our eye that to understand, or our capacity to understand, that the player is a late developed player in terms of maturation, physical maturation.
Do you have any tools to measure that?
We try. Sometimes we try with some knowledge that we have in another countries, or in our country, in other clubs. Sometimes with agents, sometimes with coaches that we have. But sometimes it's our eye that you can see that the player physically is not well developed, or it's not yet developed. And we can call the player for late physical maturation or early maturation, and in certain age that makes a difference. But in fact we analyze that, and we take that really serious when we scout and we make decisions of a player of 16 or 18 years old. That for sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we have here some observations and questions on the chat. We have here from a guy from India, Swan Lian. He's saying, I think he's being critical when he says this, that here in India, the Tata Football Academy are giving the minimal height for the trials. He's saying that if you want to go to that trial, you have to have a minimum height. I imagine that you think that that's a mistake, of course, because we are leaving out some eventual talented players just because they are not very tall. We have here a question from Alessandro Lia, and I have to put that question to you, Admar. For youth player, you need to check some features and abilities. Is it necessary to watch his training and not only the matches? What do you think?
Well, the perfect situation, yes. The perfect situation is to watch trainings, games, even in different contexts. That's why I believe that scouting is a process not of 1 year or 2 years or 4 years. The ideal situation is to know the players when they have like 15, 16 and follow them till 19, 20 to make a decision. And during that 4 or 5 years, you can see the player to play with different coaches probably national teams or in the clubs, in different contexts, different pressure of games. And if you have the chance to watch the trainings, normally I like also to watch the warm up of the players of the teams when they are young. I feel that you can understand some things that even, or of course you can understand it during the game, but there are something more that you can also watch on the warming up or on the training session. But that is not all the times, or not always possible to watch the trainings of all the players that we scout. But to answer that question, the ideal situation is, yes, to watch as much as trainings, as much as players, and if possible, different contexts in different times of maturation. And that's it.
Yeah, it's curious because you talked about the warm up. You're not the first one talking about it. I have a friend, Rui Oliveira, that worked in Benfica for many years. I don't know if NUNO had played with Pablo Aimar in Benfica. NUNO, have you played with him?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and Rui said that Pablo was always, when he was doing the warm-up, was always the guy that was in front of all the people motivating. Was that true, NUNO?
Yes. It was true. I think even if you warm up with a physical coach, at the end, individual, the players they like to do some exercise and some individual warm up. And I don't know. For example, me, I was like focused on the game. Even during the warm up, I was like trying to see the game before the game starts. And Admar is true. He was always motivating the team and always keep like talking to the other players. I believe that we were already guessing that he will become a coach after he retired.
Thank you, NUNO. We have here some questions from Vladimir Popic and also Abdullah Had. He's asking, and this question has to be for you again, Admar. When is the right time to start to look for talented players? Is it when do you think that it's not that the player is not old enough to look at him, and what age do you think that you should start following that player to be aware if he's going to be a talent in the future or not?
Two difficult questions, but I will try to answer. So first of all, when they start to scout the players, nowadays the academies start to scout players with 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Nowadays I'm not working for an academy, but to be honest, I mean, more in the region, more in the city that the club is involved. They start to scout the best players under 9, under 10, and 11. Then they will have more time to work with them, to develop them, to form a little bit the player. So nowadays the question is as young as possible. Of course, more in competitive football that nowadays is under 9, I guess, even at least in Portugal. And to scout, I will give you another point of view. You ask me for, I mean, which time, which it's the end of the age older than we can scout.
Okay.
Well, it depends. I can explain a little bit for the situation of Lille this year, that the club I'm working with. We are in the sports problem. The season is not that well as we expect, and one of the problems that we have is we have a lot of young players. We are a little bit inexperienced. And in my opinion, for the next season, we should scout and choose a little bit more experienced players, and a little experience is 27, 28, 29. So
Okay.
till imagine even for India or for China, I know that they are choosing players with 34, 35, 36. So there is no timeline for scouting players, but depends on the context, depends on the needs, and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Admar. Before we go back to NUNO, I would like to ask a question to Pedro. Pedro, I know that you are doing some work also in the USA. I know that you have a partnership now with the Cal South.
Yes.
Are the US soccer discovering right now the scouting, or because for me it's a bit strange, and I see this a lot in the US soccer. They have many technologies and they are very advanced in some sports like American football, basketball, and then we go to soccer and it seems like they are, well, it looks like they are starting. It looks like they are not going and get the best information from that sport to soccer. Do you feel the same way, Pedro? Do you think that they are just waking up for these kind of things?
No, it's a different context. It's a different society. And first we need to understand where the money is. In Europe, the money is in football. Yeah. So if you are a young kid in France or in Italy or in Portugal, you dream to be a football player. Like NUNO, when he was in Amarante, playing for Amarante, he dreamed to play in a football club as a professional. For a kid on the United States, first you have baseball, then you have NFL, then you have basketball. And
if you're not good at any of those, you go and play soccer.
You go and play soccer, because even that soccer is a huge industry on the United States. And for our company, United States, in terms of revenue, is the most important country. But for the United States, soccer or football is the fifth sport. Okay, it's mandatory to play for the high schools and also on college. The women soccer, it's very important. They are right now world champions, and the situation is that on the United States, in my personal opinion, the problem is that you pay to play. So, and people are used to pay to play. And again, there's not the investment on technology, because they have all the technology that you can imagine. They have the best training conditions that you can imagine. In California with Cal South, there are clubs playing at the USL level, that is, let's say, the third division. They have better conditions than Benfica here, or Porto or Sporting. So it's not the facilities, it's not the technology, it's not the money, because they have that, and it's more than enough. The problem, it's bigger than that. It's lack of knowledge on the game. They need to have better coaches, in my opinion. They need to have better scouts. They need to know how to scout. They need to know how to coach. And by my network of friends and people that I work with, sometimes we take some coaches to the United States to do one session or two sessions, and I had that experience with someone that now everybody's talking about. That is Miguel Cardoso from Rio Ave some years ago. He did a training session in Philadelphia, and people were cheering and clapping in the end of the training session, because for those people standing on the benches. It was like seeing something that they never experienced before. Okay, and the feeling was, okay, this guy is really good. We never saw something similar. And the people that were on the training session, all of them were coaches. So it was not soccer moms or soccer dads. All of them were coaches. And Miguel was brilliant on the training session. And of course, because we have the technical skills, we have the technical capacity, because we don't have money. So we need to develop our game in a different way. And of course, it's very good for us that football is #1 sport, because for a kid in Atlanta or in Chicago or in New York, whatever, if you have a sport like basketball or like American football that pays a lot more money to play than soccer, that you need to pay to play, you don't see poor kids playing soccer on the United States, because the academies are expensive. So it's a completely different mindset from Europe or Africa or India or Asia. And I really think that the next Cristiano or the next Messi will come for sure from Africa or from Argentina or from Colombia or even Venezuela, because it's a cultural and sociological broader situation. So the United States have a very, very specific characteristics that we need to know how to work with.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. Nuno, a question for you. And going a bit back on our conversation, we know that football, soccer have evolved a lot in the last years, tactically. Well, do you think that that nowadays the thing that is more valuable in a player is the physical fitness? Or my question, just to be more clear, do you think that a good player in the past could be a very good player right now? Or do you think that the characteristics that we value right now are very different that we valued 10 or 20 years ago? No?
Yes, it's very different. It's very difficult, sorry, to answer that question, because the football that we used to play 20 years ago is not the same. In terms of speed, pace, and physical conditions also. I believe that players that had talent in the past, they can play also in the present, or they can play also in the future. Because if you have talent, you can play. But of course, nowadays, physical is one of the parts importance of the game. But I think if I was a coach, I will combine both things, because I don't know. It depends. If you have 11 players only running behind the ball, or you prefer to have 11 players that know how to keep the ball and know how to dribble and know how to find a space, a clear space to pass the ball. You have to have physical players, but you have to have talent. Otherwise, you are not stronger than the opponent. It's difficult. I used to I don't know if better players from the past, did they have space to play now? I think so. Because I don't know, Maradona. Of course, you can watch videos of Maradona now, and he did what he wants with the ball. But if you put Maradona playing on the field now, I think he will play the same, because it was hard to take the ball away from him 20 years ago and today also. So it's a mix. Of course, football improved a lot in physical conditions, but I think that improve also in new technology that allows to the players to be better in physical conditions. So the talent is there, and a lot of players that I used to watch. We have an example here in Benfica, for example, Luizão is still playing with 36, almost 37, and he improved a lot since 15 years ago that he arrived until now, because he had talent, but a lot of technology that helped him to improve in physical conditions and also recovering and to be fit all the time.
Okay, thank you, Nuno. We are about to finish. It's almost 8 p.m. over here, but I have one last question to Admar. And Pedro touched a bit this question also. He said that, and I see the same, that it's going to be more and more difficult to find athletes like Ronaldo or Messi, because right now, mainly in Europe, and of course also in the USA, they don't have access to the street football. So they are learning football or soccer playing in academies. And in my opinion, the players are getting more and more similar. Okay, we don't find very top players. We find only good players, not excellent players. Do you think that the players are becoming more standard, more similar, and do you think that that fact could also make the work of a scout more difficult, Admar?
Well, that's a difficult question, but to be honest, what I think about that is nowadays the players are becoming a little bit more predictable in a way, but we still have talent. We still have a lot of countries, a lot of regions that the players and the young boys still play a lot of time in the streets, in the road, like in Africa, in South America, like Pedro said, like for example Venezuela. There are some countries, because of the social and cultural situation, we still have a lot of countries to scout, and I think we will not see a huge difference in the next years because of that specific point. Maybe in some countries, yes, I believe, and nowadays we can identify and understand that, and it's being a little bit. We change a little bit the countries that we scout, not just because of that, but that influence a little bit. But what I want to finish my intervention is also about the nowadays the players with the 16, 17, 18, when they start to play younger, so they are more ready or more developed younger, in a younger age than as before. The players are more ready to play in a younger age nowadays because they have too much years already of training, of preparation, even understanding of the game, but that reduces a little bit, and they become a little bit more predictable and reduces a little bit the creativity. That is my final answer.
Okay, I think it's a good conclusion. Of course, this activity will face many challenges. Football or soccer is not evolving the same way in the different countries. I think we can understand that and conclude with that also. So I'd like to thank you guys for being with us during this hour. I hope that everyone that's looking at us right now that enjoyed this conversation. And if so, I would like to ask you to put a plus in the chat box so we can have some feedback also from the quality of our conversation. Now, I would like to also to tell you that next week we'll have another debate about scouting. We're going to continue with this subject for some weeks. And to finish, I would like, of course, to say that, as I said, we have available right now a course about soccer scouting. And we are also, and I thank Pedro and BRANDIT for that, we are offering the access to Scouting System Pro during 2 years. So it's about we are offering selling the course and the product for $25. So you will get both things that if they were together, they will cost about $500 US. So take a look at our webpage. Once again, thank you, NUNO. Thank you, Mar. Thank you, Pedro, also. And see you soon. And thank you for your participation over here. Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.